Good morning. I am Tasha Clifton, and I'm a unit manager in grants administration at TEA. And today we're going to be talking about the Special Education Application Designation and Certification Form, or ADC, as we most commonly refer to it. Is everyone off to a great start today? I hope so. We're going to be talking about the purpose of the form, where to find it, as well as how to complete it. I have a couple of panelists here with me today, and I would like for them to introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Lori Marcourt, and I'm in grants administration, and I'm the team lead, and I work a lot with special ed.
Hello, my name is Mona Corbett. I am Assistant Director for Grants Administration, as well as a Unit Manager alongside of Tasha Clifton for the negotiation team. Thank you.
Okay, we'll be happy to entertain any questions that you have, but we're going to address all questions at the end of the presentation.
Tasha, someone says they cannot hear, so I can hear.
Okay, my volume is about as loud as it can go.
Okay, they're saying they can hear.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll go ahead and get started. The Special Education ADC form is the mechanism that you will use to manage your shared services arrangements as far as the application is concerned. It is also how you will indicate to TEA how you will apply for each fund source that's located in the application. The current special education grant has 7 fund sources in it, but for the new school year, the Special Education Consolidated Grant is being separated into multiple grants. The first grant is the Special Education Federal Grant. The fund sources in that grant will be IDB Formula, IDB Preschool, and IDB Discretionary Deaf. The ADC for the Special Education Federal Grant is the one that opened on May 15th. A second grant will be the Special Education State Grant. That one will have the IDSC ECI fund source as well as State Deaf, and that one's going to open later. That grant is scheduled to open maybe around late August, September. The application for the Special Education Federal Grant is the one that will open or is scheduled to open around June 2nd. Now, as we know, the grant is in eGrants. In order to access the grant, you will need access to TEAL as well as access to the eGrants application. If you don't have access to TEAL, gaining access to TEAL is very easy. There's a login, a link to access TEAL right on the TEA homepage. And it's very simple information that you're required to enter. After you get access to TEAL, go ahead and get access to eGrants as well. Once you have both of those two and you're logged in, you will see a screen that looks like this snapshot on your screen. You'll enter your county district number or your vendor ID, whichever of those you have. From the Grants tab, you want to select Apply for Eligible Grants. At this particular stage, there aren't any eligible grants, or at least when the snapshot was taken, there weren't any eligible grants in the list. But once you select Apply for Eligible Grants, the 2021 Special Education app will appear, or a link. You click on the link and it will take you to the form for the ADC. Now again, under the Grants tab, there are many different options. Apply for eligible grants, grants in process, awarded grants, but at this stage, you want to select Apply for Eligible Grants. I need to point out that in order to access the ADC, you will first be required to submit your SC 5003, which is the Formula Grants Consolidated Schedule. That is the schedule where you will identify whether any barriers exist to equitable access and participation in the programs for any of your participants. It's also where you will find the guidelines, assurances, and certifications that you will need to sign off on in order to participate in the grant program. So SC 5003 must be submitted first, and then you can access the ADC. Another thing that I wanted to point out is that when you're applying for e-grants, there's several different roles that staff members can have. The only role that can certify and submit the ADC is going to be the grantee official role. So make sure if you're planning for someone to certify and submit this application that they have the grantee official role in e-grants. When I think about the ADC, I think about something like a Rubik's Cube. You know, the little three-dimensional colorful toy that upon first glance seems very easy to complete. The ADC form looks very simple. If you're logged into eGrants, it may appear as a single page. If you print it, it may print on one page or maybe a page and a third. Looks very simple. In order to complete the form, you're just selecting some radio boxes or some information in the drop-down. So looks very, very simple. The only thing is, just like completing that Rubik's Cube, once you get started, you realize there's more to it than you thought. There's a lot of coding in the background for this ADC form. The coding behind this form controls what appears or does not appear in your eGrants application. So it's very, very important that this form be completed correctly. It will control whether or not a fund source appears. It controls whether or not you will have an application at all. So again, super important that we get this right from the onset. So what is on your screen, or hopefully on your screen, is a snapshot of part 1 of the application. There's a link to the instructions at the very top of this, towards the right-hand side of your screen. If you click on that, it will provide instructions on how to complete the form. Part 1 of the ADC is the designation. This is where you will actually tell us how you plan to apply for the grant. In the left-hand side of this box are the funding sources. The fund source information pre-fills based on what you are eligible for. So for this particular grant, you'll see IDEA-B formula, IDEA-B preschool, and IDEA-B discretionary DEF in this area. Towards the middle of the form is where you will actually select your designations. And there are 4 options to choose from. Apply on own means that you intend to submit your own application for that particular fund source. Apply as fiscal agent of an SSA means that you're agreeing to submit one application on behalf of all members of your shared services arrangement. Not apply at all means that you do not want the funds, so that fund source will not appear in your application. Apply as member of an SSA means that you are electing for the fiscal agent to submit the application on your behalf. Once you have made your selections for the designation, if you are in a shared services arrangement and you selected apply as a member, you have to choose your fiscal agent. In order for you to see your fiscal agent here in the dropdown, the fiscal agent must first submit their ADC. So if you do not see your fiscal agent in the dropdown list, it means that they have not submitted their ADC and you need to contact the fiscal agent. Please don't just select any fiscal agent in the list, because if you select that fiscal agent, you're agreeing to be a part of another fiscal agent shared services arrangement. Even if you're in Region 20 and you select a fiscal agent from Region 3. So be very, very careful about that. If you don't see your fiscal agent, just reach out to them, give them a call, and be sure that they have submitted their ADC. After you choose your fiscal agent from the dropdown, the county district number will auto-populate. There is a feature here, copy prior year data. That feature will be disabled for you for this year because this is your first time submitting the ADC. But for the next year's grant, it will be available and you have the option to choose the designations that you chose for this year. It's just an option. You can still enter the information manually. Now, any fund source that you are not eligible for is going to not be available for you, and not apply is automatically selected. Towards the bottom of part 1, there is a quick link to the allocation. So if you click on this link, it'll take you to the allocations for your grants. So on this next slide, I have a couple of examples for you of what happens when you make various selections on the ADC form. In scenario number 1, we have a school district, Best ISD, who is eligible for 2 fund sources. They are eligible for IDB formula and IDB discretionary DEF. Best ISD has chosen to apply as a member of an SSA for the IDB formula fund source. For IDB discretionary DEF, they have decided not to apply at all. What will happen in this scenario is that Best ISD will not see an application in eGrants at all. The application for the formula grant will be applied for by their fiscal agent, and they will not receive any funds at all for the IDB discretionary DEF fund source. We have seen it where districts discover a year down the line that they don't have funds for a particular fund source. And the reason is because they selected not apply at all on their ADC. So it's very, very important that you make the right selections. A year down the road, there may be nothing we can do to help you get your funds if you did not select the right radio button. In scenario number 2, Joy ISD is eligible for 3 fund sources: IDB formula, IDB preschool, as well as IDB discretionary DEF. They have decided to apply on their own for IDB formula, apply as a member district of a shared services arrangement for IDB preschool, and not apply at all for IDB discretionary DEF. In this scenario, Joy ISD will see an application in eGrants, but only for the IDB formula fund source. Their fiscal agent will be applying for preschool funds on their behalf, and they have chosen to not receive any funds for the IDB discretionary program. Part 2 is the certification and incorporation language for the ADC. Each organization's authorized official must certify agreement with statements section. So there's a lot of information here. So you want to be sure to read this carefully and make sure that you understand it. I've highlighted a couple of sentences here that are really important. The first one says that the designation must remain in effect for the duration of the project period. What that means is that once you select the designation, apply as a member district of an SSA, you must remain in that SSA through the duration of the project period. Midway through the project period, you will not be allowed to join another shared services arrangement. The second highlighted sentence pertains to folks who are in SSAs. All participating organizations must have entered into a written shared services agreement. And so by certifying this application, you are agreeing that that has happened. There's also information in there about the fiscal agent agreeing to bear certain responsibilities on behalf of the shared services arrangement. Towards the bottom of the form is where the authorized official will actually enter their information and certify and submit the application. They will select their name from the contacts dropdown. If their name is not in the dropdown, they can select Add New Contact, and they will be directed to the contact information page, where they can just enter their information, save it, and then come back to this page and certify and submit it. Now, I just want to go really quickly through some helpful information or highlights when it comes to submitting the ADC. Some of this I've already covered and I've said it more than once, but only because it's really important. So the due date for the ADC is September 3rd, but we want you to go ahead and get these in and completed as soon as possible, especially with this being a new year or a new form for special ed for this year. We want to make sure that we catch any issues from the onset. If for some reason you select the incorrect designation on the ADC, there is a way to correct it. You'll just need to reach out to your negotiator. Once grant applications have opened and are submitted, it's very, very difficult to change that, and it may involve our IT department. So we encourage you to get these in very early and have them completed correctly so that we can just work out any kinks that we have. The SA 5003, again, must be submitted first in order to access the ADC. Every LEA is responsible for submitting their own ADC. There are several roles in eGrants. Remember, only grantee officials are the ones who will be able to certify and submit the ADC. Hopefully everyone has contacted their fiscal agents and have their shared services arrangements set up. If not, please get in contact with your fiscal agents first. Remember, fiscal agents must submit their ADC first before any member districts. So if you're completing your ADC and your fiscal agent is not in the dropdown, contact the fiscal agent. Be sure to choose the correct designation. Apply on own means you're submitting the application on your own behalf. Apply as fiscal agent means that you're agreeing to submit the application for all of the members in your shared services arrangement. Not apply at all means that you do not want the funds for that particular fund source. Apply as member district means that the fiscal agent is applying on your behalf for that fund source. If you have any questions regarding how to complete the ADC, feel free to contact us. Our negotiation team is really happy to help you and more than willing to help you. We just want to be sure that we get these correct from the onset. So on the next couple of screens, I have the contact information for our negotiation unit. Mona Corbett, who you met earlier, is our assistant director, and she's the unit manager for the negotiators that handle regions 1 through 10. And all of their names and contact information is on the slide. I'm the unit manager for the negotiators who handle regions 11 through 20. And all of our team members are listed on this slide as well. And that's it. That is how to complete the ADC in a nutshell. And so at this time, we're going to pause and take any questions that you might have.
Okay, Tasha, I have one. If you're not in an SSA, would you apply on your own?
Yes, if you are interested in receiving the funds and you are not in an SSA, you will select apply on your own so that you can submit your own application.
Another one was, how do I know who my negotiator is? And we addressed that.
Let's
What
see.
if my email address is wrong in the dropdown? So if it's wrong on the contacts tab, you can always go to that contacts tab and edit it. If that's what you're talking about. If it's wrong when you select it, then you can, it has a button where you can switch over to contacts and you can edit your email address there on the application. Trying to see. Someone's asking if you could go back to the previous 2 slides to see contact person information.
Sure, just one moment. Okay, I'm displaying the contact information for regions 1 through 10, and I'll leave it up there for a moment so that you can see it, and then I'll switch to the next one.
And then, do you want me to wait till you're?
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, one other question is the ADC only for SSAs?
Every LEA must submit an ADC. Every LEA must submit an ADC. In order for you to see your application in eGrants or access the application, you must submit an ADC. If you're not going to be in an SSA, you will select apply on own if you're interested in the funds, or not apply at all if you're not applying for the funds for that fund source. Okay, I'm going to switch to the contact information for regions 11 through 20.
Another question is where will the slides and webinar be posted? Will the slides be available sooner?
We are hoping to make the slides available on the website.
Okay. And what about the recording? Will the recording be sent to them?
If we're able to, we will post a recording as well.
Okay. Yes, we will post recordings. Another question, how long until the grant application is available after we submit the ADC?
The grant application is expected to open on June 2nd. So if you have submitted your ADC prior to June 2nd, then your application should be available on June 2nd. If you submit your ADC on June 15th, then the application should be available to you on June 15th. So it depends on when you certify and submit your ADC.
Okay. And can we get a copy of the PowerPoint?
Absolutely. We are trying to make it available on the TEA grants website.
Okay. And that's all the questions that I see right now. If for some reason we did not address your questions, we'll do a follow-up with responses.
All right, there may be some questions under the Q&A item here.
Okay.
So let me look.
Okay, here's one. Is there one ADC for each district?
Yes, each school district is responsible for completing their own ADC.
All right. One question here is, as a director of an SSA, do I need to request access as a grantee official for each member district in order to complete the ADC? I'm thinking they should only request access for their own application, and then they just complete it based on their own, and you'll identify if you're a fiscal agent for that particular fund source. All the other member districts that are under your SSA need to complete their own ADC.
Right. You would only need grantee official status for your own application.
Okay, here's a question. I am a new director and the district has a company completing the e-grant. Do I still have to go in and add myself as the ADC?
If you are the person who is authorized to bind an agreement with TEA, you would need to choose the authorized official or grantee official role in e-grants. There are multiple roles in e-grants. If you would like someone to be able to complete it, they can have a grant manager role. But if you're the one that's authorized to bind the grant, you should certify and submit the application, and you would need to have the grantee official status.
Okay. After we complete the form, how will we know when we can go in and apply?
So if you have successfully certified and submitted your application, and you can tell that in eGrants, the grant opens on June 2nd. And on June 2nd, it should be available to you. You just go right into eGrants, apply for eligible grants, select 2021 Special Education Federal Grant, and you should see a link to the application.
Okay.
And if I may chime in, sometimes the application doesn't open until late on the start date or on the open date. So just because you might start work at 7 o'clock in the morning doesn't mean the application might already be open. You might want to give us some time during the day. We have staff that works throughout the day, and the items post and are open at different times sometimes. So please be patient with us.
Here's another one. Each LEA must submit an ADC in order for the fiscal agent to see the formula funds, correct?
Each LEA must submit an ADC to tell TEA how you plan to apply. If you're in an SSA, go ahead and select apply for shared services arrangement. So you will have to submit your own ADC. Just make sure that you choose the right designations. If you're applying as a member district, select apply as a member of an SSA. Choose the right fiscal agent, and then your fiscal agent will be able to submit the application on your behalf.
Another question, let's see here. Let's see, when the state funds become available, how do we choose to apply for those funds?
There will be a separate ADC for the special education state grant. So you will complete that just like you did this one.
Okay, if a new director does not yet have access to eGrants, how can they submit the SC 5003? And
There is a link. You'll first need access to TEAL if you don't have that. There's a link to TEAL at the top of the TEA homepage. And then once you, and it's very simple to complete, it just asks for basic contact information. Once you get access to TEAL, you just need to choose eGrants as an application. If you have any questions about how to apply for access for either one of those, you can contact your regional negotiator.
When is the second grant available?
The state grant is expected to come to be issued around late August, early September.
And do the ESSA and SPED ADCs get completed at different times?
The ESSA ADC is currently open for ESCs. The Perkins ADC is open for everyone, and the special ed ADC is open for everyone. So they're all being completed right now.
Okay. And then it says at the beginning of the presentation, you went over some release dates for two other SPED grants. Can you go over those grants and dates again?
I think
Oh,
I just, yeah, I think that was just the same question.
Okay.
The special ed state grant, which is expected August, early September.
Yes, and they got it. Let's see. Let's see. Confirming that an LEA may be part of one SSA for IDEA B, but another for deaf fund source, right?
Yes, you may have more than one as a fiscal agent.
Can you use an internet browser for the eGrants application, or is Internet Explorer the best only browser?
So for the current year, the ESSA grant is the only one that's available in our new framework. So you should be able to use that one in Chrome. For SPED and Perkins, those are still in our older version of the application, and so you may still need to use Internet Explorer for those. The great news is that special education and Perkins grants are being transitioned to the new version of the application, and so you should be able to use that with different browsers, Internet Explorer and Chrome.
Okay. Will the state grants be approved back to September 1 if opened by TA after September 1?
Yes.
Let's see. And that's all I'm seeing now.
Okay, we will make sure that we have all the questions here, about 1 more minute, and then we will adjourn if there are no other questions.
Oh, here's another one. Once we hit save button, does that mean that we have completed the form?
You have to certify and submit the application. Certify and submit is what you want to be sure you have done. Saving only saves.
And if I may, some folks may be able to complete the ADC or even the eGrants application and save it. And then you have to be sure that your authorized official or your grantee official certifies and submits.
It is still IE only. Internet Explorer, they're talking about only. I think Chrome can be used too. Chrome and Internet Explorer. Is there a chart that has the grant open dates and due dates for each grant that needs to be completed?
Now, we did have the Gov delivery item that went out that had several of the dates of when things will be posted, when they will be open, and when they need to be completed.
But I don't believe we sent out anything regarding all of the grant dates yet. But the SA 5003 for sure has gone out. Information on the ADC has gone out.
Do you have a tentative date for when the SPED Consolidated Grant information will populate on the TEA Grant Opportunities webpage?
I'm not sure what information.
I think when you select it from opportunities, grant opportunities, and probably when it's available on June 3rd is when they're going to be able to go up and see that in grant opportunities. Maybe.
If you're talking about 2021 special education federal grant information, that information is only going to become available after June 2nd, once the grant opens, if that's what you're referring to. If not, please clarify.
Where is the ADC form located within eGrants?
In eGrants, once you enter your county district number, you're going to select under the Grants tab, apply for eligible grants. There will be a link to the 2021 Special Education Federal Grant. Click on that and it will take you to Applicant, Designation, and Certification.
A couple people still are trying to find out their negotiators for their regions.
Okay, do you see Region 11 through 20 still displayed?
Yeah, and someone wants Region 7.
Okay, I'll go back. Region 7 is Meredith O'Reilly.
Thank you. That's all I'm seeing, so right now.
Well, all righty, we are going to adjourn for today. Thank you so much for participating on this call. We look forward to working with you on these grant applications for the upcoming school year. Again, the negotiation team is more than happy to help you complete this. So go ahead and feel free to give us a call or send us an email. If you don't, we'll try to post this on the website. If you don't know who your regional negotiator is, you can always email grants@tea.texas.gov or call our main line 512-463-8525. Thank you again, and everyone have a fantastic afternoon.